everybody. There's this couple, Fred and Martha, and they lived to a ripe old age. They both passed away at 110 years of age. And they went to heaven. They had a pretty good life. They were nice people, so they went to heaven. And there they were. They get greeted by this angel. The name is Arthur. And Arthur said, well, greetings, Martha, Fred, welcome to heaven. This is where you're going to be for the rest of eternity. And come along, I want to show you around. So they start walking, and they look both sides, and they see green grass. But I'm talking about green. We're talking about 24 shades of green. In heaven, there are 24 shades of green. So they keep walking, and they notice lakes on both sides. Blue, but 24 shades of blue. So it's just amazing. And then there's these mountains with snow on top and like nothing on earth. So anyway, Martha is ecstatic. She's just like amazed by what she's seeing. She turns around to Fred, and Fred is like has a sour puss. And she doesn't understand it, but they keep on walking. And finally, Arthur, the angel, says, well, come on in. I'm going to show you now. This is your house where you're going to be living. And they walk in, and just outstanding appliances. Like, these appliances don't exist on Earth. And the kitchen is like gigantic, which Martha loves, of course. And then they keep walking, and they go into the bathroom, and the bathroom's twice the size of any bathroom on the planet. And it's just incredible. And Martha is just tears rolling down her eyes. She is so happy. Turns around, Fred, sourpuss still, and even a little angry. Finally, they get to the another door. The Arthur opens the door, and there is this beautiful workshop, for woodwork. And that's what, believe it or not, Fred loved to do on the planet. So it was just it was like beautiful workshop, everything he needed. So finally, Arthur said, well, Fred, Martha, I think it's time. I hope you enjoyed the tour, and I have to go now, but, this is where you're going to be living for eternity, and enjoy it. So he leaves, and Martha is just like so happy. And she turns to Fred and says, I don't understand you, Fred. What's your problem? Look at this place. Here you are with a sour puss. You're angry. But we're going to be living here for the rest of it. This is incredible. What's your problem? And Fred turns to Martha and he says, exactly, Martha. And if it wasn't your idea of becoming vegans, we could have been here 30 years ago. That's a story. Anyway, I'd like to tell you a story, a little bit about myself. I'd like to tell you the story of my plant-based journey. And just to get, you get to know me, because I just started this YouTube channel, and I think it's important to tell you this story and why I'm doing this. So anyway, I was born in 1942, and it was in Brooklyn. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention something also. One of the main reasons I became vegan, eating plant-based foods, is I thought it would get rid of my accent. Somebody told me that, but here it is, a long time. It's been 11 years now, and it just didn't work. If you're interested in becoming vegan to get rid of your accent, forget about it. There's other benefits though. So anyway, so here I was, Brooklyn, New York, 1942, and my father was a butcher. My brother was a butcher. I had two uncles that were butchers and a cousin that was a butcher. So we ate meat every single day, at least once. We also had dairy and eggs, what most people ate at that time. And there was a lot of butchering going on in the family. But anyway, we ate that, and sometimes we had some vegetables and fruits. but the mainstay of the diet was, meat, dairy, and eggs. And nobody questioned it. Nobody even talked about nutrition. When I was in school, we learned about the basic seven, which was meat, dairy, and eggs, and some other things you could eat. And so we ate that. My friends and I, we ate what our mothers put on the table. So anyway, and it wasn't until 1967 when I met this fella George in British Columbia in Canada, and he told me about this diet he'd been following. It was called the Arnold Ehret mucusless diet, and it so happens it was a raw fruit and vegetable diet, and it was before the word vegan even existed, or whole food plant-based existed. So anyway, I said, well, here I was, a young guy, I might as well try something new. And I did. And I did that for about a year and a half. And I lost a lot of weight. I felt good, but I lost a lot of weight. And but that wasn't the reason at the end of a year and a half, I decided to give it up. It was because I just found it really boring. I just couldn't take it anymore. I was missing some warm foods, and that, it wasn't that. So anyway, so I gave it up, and I went back. Believe it or not, I went back to meat and dairy again, and that was until 1976 when I became interested in Eastern philosophies, mostly Hinduism, but mostly Zen Buddhism, and on that side of the world, there were a lot of vegetarians. So I became a vegetarian. And I did that. That was in 1976. And I felt good. The only thing is that every year I would get sick. Not really a serious illness, but it would be, I'd get a sore throat, I'd get a cough, I'd get congestion, sometimes fever. And it went on, and every single year. And my brother, this was 11 years ago. So we're talking about from 1976 to 11 years ago. My brother, who had been following vegan diet for like 30 years at that time, he said, well, why don't you try going, eating plant-based foods, giving up maybe that's the reason you're getting sick. So for me, it was like a real, hard thing to do because cheese. So I couldn't give up the pizza or the yogurt or, and cheeses in general. But anyway, so he said, look, let me suggest a book you can read. And the book happened to be The China Study with T. Colin Campbell, which was, a very popular book. And still is. And I said, well, I thought about it, and I said, well, I'll give it a try. And I did. And haven't turned back since. And, I haven't gotten sick either. It's, they used to think what I went through every year, I could let go of that. And I haven't had a fever since I started this. So anyway, I really felt good. Now I had something. I had a way of eating that was good for me health-wise, and I appreciated it. But something happened 9 years ago that really had an impact on me. And we had a friend. My wife and I had a friend, Beatrice, who lived in Cozumel in Mexico, and she had a heart attack, and she went to Merida to get surgery. So she had open heart surgery, and she actually had a heart attack while she was in surgery. And she also had an enlarged heart to begin with. So that's what, she finally, she survived the surgery, and she went home. A year later, she starts having pain in her arm. And doctors told her, well, okay, come on back. And they said she needed a stent, which, as we know, is, pretty normal a year or two after people have surgery to put a stent in. So she went there, and they wanted to put the stent in, but unfortunately, the stent wouldn't fit because the artery that put, the vein that replaced the original artery was too narrow. And they point blank told her there's nothing we can do. They told her to go home, just not to exert herself, not to climb stairs, even though her bedroom was on the second floor. What they didn't tell her, and they told her son and my wife, was that she had about 6 months to live. So anyway, she came back, and we were living in Cancun at that time, which is close to it's close to Cozumel, and I heard about my wife told me what had happened, and I decided I was going to talk to Beatrice because I was having a real good experience with this diet, and I had been reading also. I read books by doctors that were having success reversing heart disease with diet, including Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, Dean Ornish, and I told her about this book. Actually, I told her I gave her this book, which was the Prevent Reverse Heart Disease by Caldwell Esselstyn, and I told her to read it, and I told her about my experience, and I thought maybe she'd be interested. So she took the book, read it, and she told me that, yes, I'm going to give this a try. So 9 years later, Beatrice was still alive. Instead of 6 months, she lived 9 years. Unfortunately, she passed away last year, but it wasn't from heart problems. So for me, this had a tremendous impact. How could it be, I read about these things, that reversing heart disease with diet, and here it was. I had a friend, a personal friend. It was like a personal experience of mine. So it was like I started questioning a lot. I said, how come this is not the go-to diet? How come doctors don't tell people before they put them through this open heart surgery, or even after put them through stents? How come they're not telling their patients, giving them this option of reversing disease through diet? So anyway, so that was really, was important for me. And then I started thinking, well, if it works for heart disease, is it possible that it can also work for other diseases, which it eventually did, type 2 diabetes, even some cancers, and high blood pressure. I mean, it goes on, no? And that really changed my life. From just actually wanting to, enjoy my health, I wanted to tell people about it. And that's what I did, because I felt like what really people are missing is information. And there's so much information, conflicting information out there today that, there has to be a thread that goes through it all that really helps people. So anyway, so that's why I decided I started writing. I had a blog. I still have a blog. I have a Facebook page, which I have 2,500 followers. And, I've done presentations in different venues. And then I decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to write a book. So anyway, I wrote a book, and this is the book. It's called The Thriving Vegan. I published it last year. It's how to discover the foods your body loves. And so I launched my career doing this. It's my personal passion. And so this is my next attempt is doing these videos, which I just started out on my YouTube channel, and I'll be covering continuously different themes on plant-based foods. and my personal journey. So that's about it for now, and I'll be seeing you soon. I hope you enjoy this, and if you're interested, you can subscribe, and let's take this journey together. Okay, have a great day. Bye.